Bye.
My mother was a Black Panther, so all of my roots to the struggle are real deep. And when I was young, I read a lot, I wrote poetry. I would have been a totally different person had I not been exposed to these things.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter. We are living in a war zone. By the time you get out your house, you strapped to protect yourself.
So I thought I'm gonna show the most graphic details of what I see, and hopefully they'll stop it. I'm doing it for the kid that really lives a thug life and feels like it's hopeless.
That it's like I'm reaching. Half my fans are white. They listen too much to Black fans. My fans know that I'm real.
The world is such a, and when I say this world, I mean it. I don't mean in an ideal sense. I mean in every day, every little thing you do. It's such a, gimme, gimme, gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like, you taught that from school, everywhere. Big business. You want to be successful? You want to be like Trump? Gimme, gimme, gimme. Push, 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 push. Step, step, step. Crush, crush, crush. That's how it all is. And it's like, nobody ever stopped. Just, you know, I feel like, instead of us just being like, slavery's bad, slavery's down, bad whitey, bad whitey. I mean, all right, let's stop that. And everybody's smart enough to know that, I mean, we've been slighted. And we want ours. And I don't mean by like ours, 40 acres and a mule, because we passed that. But we need help. I mean, for us to be on our own 2 feet, us meaning youth or us meaning Black people, whatever you want to take it for us to be on our own 2 feet, we do need help. Because we have been here. We have been a good friend. If you want to make it a relationship type thing, we have been there. And now we deserve our payback. It's like you got a friend that you don't never look out for. You know, you dressed up in jewels. Now America's got jewels and they paid and everything. And they lending money to everybody except us. And it's like, you know, everybody need a little help on their way to being, you know, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about the album, about the Special Olympics. Everybody need a little something and they to be independent. No independent person just grew up and was born independent. You worked and you learned teamwork and you learned cooperation and unity and struggle, and then you became independent. And we have to teach that and instill that. And why is it that they want to do that? I mean, if this is truly a melting pot in the country where we care about it, and Lady Liberty got a hand like this, she really loves us, then we really need to be like that. And it needs to be the Black kids. And if there's a white person who got money, then you need to help them. He need to help Black kids, Mexican kids, Korean kids, whatever. But it needs to be real. And it need to be before we all die and then you say, oh, I made a mistake. We should have gave them some money. We really should have helped these folks. It's going to be too late. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you got to pay your own karma. When God punishes you.
Tupac, your life has been marred by considerable pain. Do you think you'll ever get to the point where you can live a normal, happy life?
No, but I have to make the life that I do live as happy as I can and try to do the best with what I have.
This is my story. I was there for the whole thing. I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world.
Wow. The one and only, the legendary Tupac. Rest in power, King. So I know a lot of you guys know about Tupac. Even if you never followed him when he was alive or heard his music, you might have heard of his name here and there. Beyond what you know and what you read in Wikipedia, right? We're gonna get a little bit more personal with Tupac, right? And as it says here, Tupac Amaru Shakur was actually born Lesane or Lesani Parish Crooks. That was his actual birth name, all right? And I'm gonna show you his parents, which neither of them are crooks, by the way. So somebody told me a possible story why the mom named him Crooks, possible friend of hers she met. But yeah, his dad and his mom have different last names from different families. I'm going to show you guys today. It says here that he was born June 16, 1971, and he passed away September 13th, 1996. He was also known as Tupac and Machiavelli. He was an American rapper. But to many of us, right, he was much more than that. So to all the people who, just heard about him, all his negative publicity, all the bad media hijack, only reporting about the negative stuff, don't know the brother's life and struggle, what he was going through, what his background was, what he knew, what his experiences were that made him the man he was. Beyond that, there is a real person right here in this Tupac Amaru. I know many of the OGs and people from my time growing up in the 80s and 90s, we were heavy followers of Pac, myself, just the words, his revolutionary style of rap, his influence, the realness of his rap poetry gave many of us hope. But actually caring about humanity, caring about our people, caring about others, trying to do better, sharing, loving, as we heard already, right? So if you never met or known about Tupac, you're gonna meet him today. With all love and respect to his family and anybody that might feel close to Tupac or somebody very influential to them. I hope you guys enjoy this video and know that, I did this with all respect, and I do this so we can all learn and see that there's a deeper history with all of us as individuals too. And there is a history with our own families and their struggles. All these ancestors that he had was what made him, Tupac. He's carrying the blood of all these people. I'm going to show you guys who they are, at least the ones that we were able to find today, okay? Let's continue. Just for the people who don't know who he is, right? It says he is widely considered one of the most influential rappers of all time. Shakur is among the best-selling music artists, having sold more than 75 million records worldwide. Much of Shakur's music has been noted for addressing contemporary social issues that plagued inner cities. He is considered a symbol of activism against inequality. You understand? Inequality. That's what Tupac is a symbol of to many of us. Not just a thug or a gangster. Yeah, he was that too. He wasn't no play. And that's how many people have to be, unfortunately. Good people, because of the environment they're growing up in. It's just part of it. Shakur was born in New York City. I'm going to show you guys. He's from East Harlem, to parents who were both political activists and Black Panther Party members. All right. Raised by his mother, Afeni Shakur. She has another name. He relocated to Baltimore in 1984 and to the San Francisco Bay Area in 1988. So beyond, Wikipedia, we'd like to just read a couple things here that I found. A lot of you know this information, the big fans of Pac and people closest to him. Just a little overview here, information from Today magazine. And they have Tupac here, right? Biographies, hip hop idol, it says here. All right, we got some pretty cool pictures. All right. Yeah, Amaru. This here, son of a Panther. Tupac's mother was a leader in the Black Panthers, an African-American political group of the 1960s. All right, dodge the hijack. What Africans? When we're talking about Black Panther, we're talking about Jaguars. Okay, I want to show you guys something real quick when you're talking about Black Panther. All right. So this is from the Kerr collection, right? What he did is he flattened out a lot of the vases, the cups and everything, so you guys can see the drawing. This is an ancient Maya vase, and the ancient Maya and many other nations would dress up as jaguars. There was jaguar warriors. They would dress up as eagles, the eagle warriors, and many other things. As you guys can see here, the far left, this person right here is dressed up as a black jaguar. A black jaguar has spots, but he's black, so you can't see them. But, the melanin and jaguars is actually dominant over the recessive leopards in Africa. So when we're talking about Black Panther, you see, this is something we've been doing over here in the Americas, all right? And when we're talking about the Maya, we're just talking about a couple colored tribes of America, all right? With his dreadlocks and everything, all right? That's a future video. I got a nice collection of these vases here. I'm gonna show you guys in a video soon. So tune in for that. But I just wanted to show you guys again, Black Panther has nothing to do with Africa. Make sure you guys check out all my Black Panther Wakanda videos so you can see what I'm saying. All right. So again, we're gonna continue. It says son of a panther. So he's saying Tupac's mother was a leader of the Black Panthers, right? The Black Panthers worked to spread their message of Black power, right? Crayon colors power. At that time, that's what made sense to them, right? Afeni and 20 other Panthers had been arrested on April 2nd, 1969. They were called the New York 21. The police said the group had planned to blow up several places in New York. While out on bail, money posted to get out of jail. Afeni became pregnant. She was not sure who the father was, and that's a lie. She knew. It may have been Billy Garland, another Black Panther, and actually, yes, that is his father, William Garland. That's his dad. Or it may have been a local drug dealer, Kenneth Legs Sanders. At the time, Afeni was living with Mumba Shakur. That would be like a stepdad of Tupac. All right, so we were able to do his genealogy a little bit too. So tune in for that until the end. I'm going to show you guys that as well. And it says he was also another member of the New York 21. When he found out she was pregnant by another man, he kicked her out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is that time. Welcome to Yo and TV Raps. I'm Pop Freddy with my man right here. What's up? Tupac. What's up, y'all? Long time we ain't hung out together. Like back in
Long time.
back in Miami.
Yeah, Miami and New York. Still here.
Yeah, right. Remember Stephen Thomas had that little thing down there? Tupac has a real interesting background. And why don't we let's start off with you just, digging into that.
It's unique, though. It's like, I was raised in New York. My mama was a Panther. My papa was a hustler from 135th Street, you know what I'm saying? On her trial, facing about 360-something years for conspiracy to all that. She made love with my father, the hustler, and they had a baby. And she was in jail, pregnant with me. You know what I'm saying? Came up out of that, you know what I'm saying? A whole bunch of rich Panther history, all that. Political prisoners run through my tree like a mother, you know what I'm saying? All my folks is in jail, all of them in the pen for doing some real Black stuff, you know what I'm saying? Not no ill stuff, some Black stuff. So I come out a lot of that sad, teary type stuff. That's where I get stuff like Brenda's Got a Baby. But I also come from the streets because I moved to California, lived in Marin, lived in Oakland, you know what I'm saying? Now I live in Los Angeles, you know, so I'm coming out the street. It's thug life. That's all. I come out the thug life.
That is an amazing background. I mean, it sounds like a motion picture, but it was real. For those of people that don't know about the Black Panthers, the Black Panthers were a militant Black organization from the 60s.
That was handling their business.
I was handling their business, and it was a major thing. I mean, how has that affected you in terms of,
It's made it to where, as I know, the police know who I am. The FBI, they already been all through my family, all through my house, all that. When I started talking some old rough stuff, they just like bombarded me and came on at me like I killed the president or something. So it's like, I know that affects me. It affects me in a good way, in a positive manner, because they couldn't slip the okey doke up on me. You know what I'm saying? I had knowledge of where I came from. So like, I didn't just get Black when Malcolm X came out. I went through my stage of being mad. You know what I'm saying? It's something after being angry. It's come time to handle your business, and that's what this is about. 93, Thug Life.
Right about here, Thug Life with Tupac, who is, I guess, a son of the struggles and the militant situations of the 60s, right here.
For real, though.
Now, small note here says Afeni Shakur was born Alice Faye Williams. She was named after Alice Faye, a singer and movie star of the 1930s and 1940s. Afeni changed her name after joining the Black Panthers in the 1960s. All right, so we just heard her real name, right? Okay, so I was able to find all this stuff. I want to show you guys real quick on the tree that I built. We got Lasagna, Tupac right here. So what was so funny is I was able to find this picture right here. Let me just show you guys. All right, so I found this yearbook picture of Tupac from his high school yearbook. Check it out, guys. Already a powerful person at this age. I want to show you guys, I'm not making this up. This is the yearbook I found this from, Tupac Shakur from Baltimore School for the Arts. All right, this is actually where he went and met Jada Pinkett Smith as well. You guys are going to read about that. And here he is with his classmates right here. Check it out. Let's zoom in. All right, Tupac Shakur. All right, normal person. He was in the School of Arts. Yeah, he was learning acting and everything. This is another picture I found of him in those days, right? In his art school, doing the acting and everything. He said his teacher there, these were, white folks, so-called white, and they would treat him good and with respect, so it seems like this moment of his life was a very good time for him. Apart from all the stuff he had gone through as a child, moving place to place, the poverty and everything, he was able to escape in this school. And he loved acting. He said he can be whatever he liked to be and escape everything. All right, so this person right next to Pac, if you don't know, he did have a girlfriend he was with, pretty serious, Kidada Jones. We're going to show her genealogy, it's what I could find as well later on. So stick around for that. For those of you who don't know, the daughter of Quincy Jones. All right, we'll get to that later. And we got his parents, who we just went over. And this is William Jefferson Billy Garland, as you guys can see here. Let's go to his picture so you guys can kind of like get an idea. He does look like Pac a lot. But look at that so you guys can see the Garland family. That's his dad. He's coming out of Rankin County, Mississippi. All right, that's where he was from. That's where he was born, and then he moved from there. And again, we got his mom, Alice Afeni Williams Shakur. She's from Lumberton, Robinson County, North Carolina. That's where her people's from. Powerful and strong woman, raised a king. All right, so we're gonna get to all these people's genealogy. We're gonna go back to the article real quick. It says here that Afeni helped raise bail for other members of the New York 21, but when 2 male members of the group left town, authorities sent her back to jail. Life at the New York Women's House of Detention was hard. Afeni had to get a court order so she could have 1 egg and a glass of milk every morning. She lost weight, but her baby kept growing. I had never been able to carry a child past 3 months pregnancy, Afeni said. But in the midst of this, the child stayed, all right? You hear this? Together, the members of the New York 21 were charged with 156 crimes. They faced a combined 352 years in prison. Afeni served as her own lawyer, even though she had no education in law. Fearing the worst, she hoped her sister would raise her child. Instead, on May 13, 1971, Afeni and 13 other members of the New York 21 were cleared of all charges. On June 16, 1971, Tupac Amaru Shakur was born in New York. Tupac Amaru means shining serpent, all right? Remember what Amaru means. Check out my video on the origin of the name of America. Part 1 and Part 2. Great videos, good information, especially when it comes to learning what it means, right? Amaru means shining serpent. The Amaru is the Andean dragon, Drakan. Amaru is Quetzalcoatl, the flying serpent, the plum serpent. And as we're going to learn right here, it was also the name of the Inca emperors and some revolutionary kings. This was the name of a warrior in Peru in the 1700s. Shakur means thankful to God in Arabic. To Afeni, Tupac's birth was a miracle. I knew, my gut knew something about this child, that he wasn't supposed to be here, and he was, she said later. And he was strong, and he was spirited, and just the prettiest smile in the world. What a wonderful, wonderful spirit this child was right from the beginning. Real quick, it says here, Tupac Amaru From 1742 to 1781 was the last leader of the Incas. These people native to Peru were conquered by Spain in the 1500s. Born Jose Gabriel Condorcanqui, Amaru later named himself after his great-grandfather. In 1780, he and his followers tried to defeat the Spaniards. The attempt failed. Amaru and most of his family were killed, but he became famous symbol in the struggle for freedom. All right, they made him a martyr. Tupac Amaru, a long line of Inca kings who were warriors. You got to understand there was a special reason they named him that. All right, they an American name and not an African name. And this is not about hating on Africa. It's all about telling our story correctly. Little Pac right here. It says artist in the making. This is what most people don't know about Pac. Tupac began writing plays when he was 6 years old. His cousins would help him act out his plays. By the time Tupac was born, Billy Garland was out of Afeni's life. Legs, Tupac's other possible father, did not go away completely. Afeni named Geronimo and Linda Pratt, this is a famous revolutionary Black Panther too, as godparents. But for the most part, she had to raise her son alone. As a parent, Afeni did not believe in hiding the truth. She just told me, "I don't know who your daddy is," Tupac said. Tupac later accepted that Garland was his father, all right? That's his dad. So it says here that Geronimo Pratt, his godfather, was a high-ranking member of the Black Panthers. He went to prison in 1972 for murder and kidnapping. He claimed he had been falsely accused, okay? Pratt's lawyer, all right, the famous Johnny Cochran, right, fought for more than 20 years to free him. Pratt finally was freed in 1997. Do you see what they did to them? False accusations, man. Taking away their life, putting them behind bars, right? Because there was a threat, because they were telling the truth. So he was freed in 97 after his trial was ruled to be unfair. Something his sentence was part of the FBI's efforts to destroy the Black Panthers. Oh, really? Pratt could not be a real father figure to Tupac. He was in prison during Tupac's entire childhood, but he wrote Tupac many kind letters. At first, Afeni did well on her own. After her trial, she was treated like a minor star. She gave talks at Yale University and Harvard University. Later, she took a job at Bronx Legal Services in New York City. Afeni worked there as an assistant. In the mid-1970s, Afeni became involved with Mutulu Shakur. Mutulu was Mumba's Shakur's adopted brother. Mutulu had been a member of the Black Panthers and other activist groups. The couple did not marry, but Mutulu thought of himself as Tupac's stepfather. Afeni and Mutulu had a daughter, Tupac's half-sister, Sek Yiwa, pronounced Sekchowa. Mutulu also had several other children. Among them was Maurice Harden, who later became the rapper Mo Preem. 10-year-old revolutionary. Tupac showed creative talent early. He began writing plays when he was just 6 years old. He always wanted everything to be just perfect. He never let anyone else direct his plays. The actors, his cousins, had to follow his rules exactly. He would have make-believe singing groups, Afeni said. He would be Prince or Ralph in New Edition. He was always the lead. Tupac wrote poetry and love songs. He also kept a diary. In that book, I said, I was going to be famous, he later said. He loved to read, a habit he picked up from his mother. When he was bad, Afeni sometimes punished him by making him read the entire New York Times newspaper. Afeni joined the House of the Lord Church in Brooklyn when Tupac was 10. The pastor Herbert Dartrey once asked Tupac what he wanted to be when he grew up. He answered, I want to be a revolutionary. You hear that? The Black Panthers was no longer an active group, but Tupac was still deeply moved by the views of his mother and the people she knew. Around the same time, Mutulu was accused of working with others to commit armed robbery and murder. The FBI put Mutulu on its 10 most wanted list. He had to leave the family to go into hiding. Possibly because of her link to Mutulu, Afeni lost her job at Bronx Legal Services. Afeni had not been rich before, but now she had to struggle to support her 2 children. Afeni and the children moved often between the Bronx and Harlem, another part of New York City. At the worst times, they were homeless. All the moving around hurt Tupac deeply. Other kids bullied him. I remember crying all the time. My major thing growing up was I couldn't fit in, Tupac said years later, because I was from everywhere. I didn't have no buddies that I grew up with. Every time I had to go to a new apartment, I had to start over. People think just because you're born in the ghetto, you're gonna fit in. A little twist in your life, and you don't fit in no matter what. Legs lived with the family in the early 1980s. He spent time with Tupac. They would go to the barbershop or out for hamburgers, but Legs wasn't really a good influence. He was the one who first gave Afeni crack. She quickly became addicted to this powerful new form of cocaine. Tupac was hurt by the lack of a steady father figure. His mother taught him how to cook, sew, and take care of a house, but she could not teach him how to be a man. It made me bitter seeing all these other kids with fathers getting answers to questions that I have, he said. Even now, I still don't get them. In 1983, when Tupac was 12, Afeni signed him up with a theater group in Harlem. It was called the 127th Street Assemble. I listened to this. The same year, Tupac made his first appearance on stage. He went on stage with the group at Harlem's famous Apollo Theater. He played Travis in the play A Raisin in the Sun. Tupac was the only child in the cast. At one point in the play, he was the only actor on the stage. Tupac loved the attention, but even more, he loved getting away from reality. I didn't like my life, but through acting, I could become somebody else, he said. Soon afterwards, Legs went to prison for credit card fraud. Afeni and her children moved to White Plains, New York. There they stayed, in a hotel that was paid for by public aid. In 1985, they moved in with Afeni's cousin in Baltimore, Maryland. When the family was settled, Afeni tried to contact Legs, but she learned he had died after a heart attack from smoking crack. He was just 41 years old. Tupac was angry about Legs' death, but he didn't cry about it for more than 3 months. After he did, Afeni recalled, he told me, I miss my daddy. Tupac went to Roland Park Junior High until 8th grade. Then he earned a spot at the famous Baltimore School for the Arts. He was one of the high school's few African American students. That was the first time I saw there was white people who you could get along with, Tupac said. Before that, I just believed what everybody else said. They was devils. He had several white girlfriends at BSA. For the first time, Tupac felt as though he fit in. He also felt supported by the teachers, most of whom were white. Donald Hickens was the head of the school's theater department. He saw Tupac as a talented, serious actor. Hickens tried to do what he could to help him succeed. For Tupac, it was a new experience to be around white people who really cared about him. Hickens said, Tupac enjoyed his classes. He read the plays of Shakespeare, took ballet, and went to Broadway shows. All right, he took ballet and went to Broadway shows. He read Shakespeare. Listen, even in a group of talented young people, Tupac stood out. I loved going to school, he said. It taught me a lot. I was starting to feel like I really wanted to be an artist. One of his closest friends at BSA was dance student Jada Pinkett, all right? Yeah, in case you missed her, she's right here. This is Jada right here, and that's Pac. They were in high school together in that same place. That's where they met. They known each other for a long time. Pinkett, Huguenot. This goes back to Huguenots, this last name, Pinkett. They shared a painful bond. Pinkett's mother also used crack. Pinkett was shocked by how poor Tupac's family was. He owned just 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters. He slept on a mattress with no sheets. Many times the fridge was empty and the electricity was shut off. All right? Do you guys understand how Pac was living? So later on in life, when people are judging him for what he's saying, how he's acting, they don't know the struggle. But you guys see, but you could understand the words now in his music, right? It was his life experience. Tupac was doing well in Baltimore, but Afeni was not. She had an abusive boyfriend. She used crack often. In 1988, by the end of Tupac's junior year, Afeni could no longer cope with her problem. She sent Tupac and his sister to live in Marin City, California. San Francisco, huh? They moved in with Tupac's godmother, Linda Pratt. Tupac was sad that he had to quit BSA. Leaving that school affected me so much, he said. Even now, I see that as the point where I got off track. Hey, maybe he would have been a different person, right? Sometimes it just seems everything happens for a reason, though, right? Tupac's new life in Marin City, nicknamed the Jungle, was hard. Once again, he was the new kid trying to fit in. It was like a hood, and I wanted to be part of it, he said. What he found was kindness, but no respect. I got love, but the kind of love you would give a dog or a neighborhood crack fiend. They liked me because I was at the bottom. Afeni had sent her children to live with Linda Pratt because Afeni wanted them to be safe. But Pratt was an alcoholic. Sometimes when she drank, she screamed at Tupac and Sekijiwa. When Pratt went into treatment for her alcohol problem, Afeni moved to California to look after her children. Life with Afeni was just as grim. Her crack use was out of control. Sometimes she would disappear for months. She left her children to take care of themselves, right? So this is what Tupac is going through, right? His childhood, right? In the fall of 1988, Tupac began attending Tamalpais High School. Even though the school was in rich Marin County, Marin City itself was poor. Tupac had been a star at the Baltimore School for the Arts, but with his home life so unstable, he cut classes and let his school work slide. Tupac often stayed with friends rather than going home. Later, he moved in with a group of boys who lived in a vacant apartment. By this time, he was writing poetry and rap songs. His life was reflected in his lyrics. He recalled these dark days in the song, Dear Mama. According to the song, his mother kicked him out when he was just 17. Tupac and his mother had little contact. In New York, in all those times we was growing up, she was my hero, Tupac said. But when crack took over Afeni's life, he lost all respect for her. At the age of 18, Tupac dropped out of high school, but he kept reading. It was his way to educate himself. He pursued music, writing, and rapping whenever he got a chance. He also listened to a wide range of music. He liked English and Irish pop. All right, you hear that? Among his favorite artists were Kate Bush, Culture Club, Sinead O'Connor, and U2. He once said that his favorite piece of music was the theme song from the Broadway musical, Les Miserables. All right? A lot of things about Pac you didn't know. To make money, Tupac sometimes sold crack, but his Marine City friends, many of them drug dealers themselves, told him to stop. They saw Tupac's talent. They didn't want him to get caught up in the drug life. I had so many loans from dope dealers, and I've never been able to repay because they're not here anymore, Tupac said. They would just say, here, make that album, mention my name. Tupac wanted to break into the music industry, but he didn't know how. That changed in the spring of 1989. He had a chance meeting with Layla Steinberg. Steinberg, a young writer, teacher, and music producer, would become his first manager. Steinberg was sitting in a Marine City park. She was reading a book written by Winnie Mandela. Winnie was the wife of anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela of South Africa. To Steinberg's surprise, Tupac walked up to her and began quoting lines from the book. The two started talking. All right, do you see what happened? Tupac ain't just some random kid from the hood there, you know. He came up to her who knows nothing, you know. He came up to her and was like, hey, I know that book. Check this out. And she was like, wow. Steinberg invited Tupac to a weekly poetry group that met at her house. Group members wrote, read, and discussed poetry. Tupac impressed the group. He was a genius who became the group's greatest inspiration, Steinberg said. When she found out Tupac was homeless, she offered to let him move in with her and her family. Tupac's friendship with Steinberg was based on love of books and learning. We searched for knowledge, she said. We explored together. Tupac went with Steinberg to local schools where she taught her writing workshops. She taught and he rapped. At 17, Steinberg recalls, he was wide-eyed and really believed that he could change the world. Soon after their first meeting, Steinberg introduced Tupac to Atron Gregory. Gregory started his own record label, TNT. Among his recording artists was the successful Bay Area rap group Digital Underground. Digital Underground's song, The Humpty Dance, was one of the first hip-hop songs played in the clubs. It also became a number 11 hit on the pop charts. Steinberg helped Tupac get a trial with Digital Underground lead rapper Gregory Shock G. Jacobs. At first, Shock G noticed Tupac's professional manner. Then once Tupac performed for him, he was impressed with his rapping. It was street. It was educated, Shock G said. All right, and that's Tupac right there. That's the picture I colorized for the thumbnail of this video. And you can see, look what he's wearing. He ain't wearing chains and stuff. He got some, what's this, indigenous stuff around him? Huh? He's keeping it tribal. So he would go on stage and he wouldn't even be the main rapper or anything. He'd be doing the acts and all that, acting and doing funny stuff, Yeah, he was, doing what he had to do, to make it, right? In 1990, Tupac joined Digital Underground for their tour of the United States and Japan. He worked as a roadie. His job was to carry and set up equipment. He helped the band members in any way he could. He also danced on stage behind the main show. Tupac's duties included dancing with a life-size rubber doll during the Humpty dance, okay? Like this was going on. Yeah, he did that. Tupac was happy to be dancing with Digital Underground, but he wanted to do more. Every chance he'd get on the mic. After the shows at the after party, Chuck G said once people saw him, that was history. Soon Tupac earned the chance to do some background rapping, performing shorter parts to support the main rapper. He didn't like sharing the spotlight though. Sometimes he would sing when he wasn't supposed to. Chuck G would tell him to stop. Tupac would argue back. Chuck G would kick him off the tour. Then the fight would blow over. Tupac would be back in the group as if nothing had happened. All right. So it keeps going. I'm not going to read the whole thing, right? Just wanted to show you guys a clear background of his youth before he became the person most people know him as, the rapper, Tupac. In case you didn't know any of this info, this is what he was going through before he became a famous rapper. Of course, there's a lot of details left out of here, Now we're going to continue with the family tree now. Where you guys understand, Pac, this was a real person, all right? And this is his history right here. Again, this was his dad. We're going to do his dad's side first. William Garland, who was the son of William Cap Garland and Eloise Marie Barnes. We're going to get to that. William Marvin Billy Garland, all right? They put Marvin instead of Jefferson. People be changing him. But this is a picture of him with Tupac right here. Again, he was born in Mississippi, and he passed away in New Jersey. Again, the son of William Garland and Eloise Marie Barnes. Okay, I just want to show you. We have pictures of his parents. All right, we're going to go into his parents. We're going to open up his tree. As you guys can see here, William Cap Garland and Eloise Marie Barnes. And that's what they look like. You see how light-skinned they are? Especially Tupac's grandmother. All right, this is Tupac's grandmother, his paternal grandmother. All right, Eloise Marie Barnes, and unfortunately she passed at a very young age. April of 1956 when she passed away, and she was born in 1930, so imagine that's 26 years old. Eloise was born in Fort Pierce, St. Lucie County, Florida, and she passed away in New Jersey. Here is Eloise Barnes in 1930. She's a baby here. They're living in Fort Pierce, Florida again. Her parents, father Walter Barnes, mom Carnell, brother Ulysses, a sister Catherine. Okay. I got the 1950 census also. So again, these are Tupac's grandparents on his dad's side. Look at that. All right, you see what they look like? William Cap Garland, his grandfather, was born in Georgia, Athens, Clark, Georgia. 1924, passed away in 2000 in New Jersey. His parents are Morris T. Garland and Katie Morris. All right, Katie Morris. Morris T. Garland, born in 1883 in Georgia. We don't have the exact place. We got all these census with him in it. Right here, he is 16. This is the oldest record I found, 1900. And he's living with his brother. Okay, he's not even living with his parents at 16. So we're not sure who his parents are for now. I did search a lot. But what we know from the census is that both his parents are from Georgia, as it says on this one. 1910 also says the same thing, Georgia, as well as the 1920 census also says Georgia for both parents. Now, I wasn't able to find much information on the Garland family in America. I did find this book right here, The History of the Garland Family in America, but it's nowhere to be found. When I hit view inside, it says unavailable. This is another website right here, The History of the Garland Family, as you guys can see. They don't have it either. It's not available. They have it on Google Books, but you can't read it. You can't even click on it. I did search inside to see if I can find anything. I did find a William Garland, as it says here. His descendants after the Revolutionary War migrated to the state of Georgia, right? So Garland in Georgia, it might be related to them. And just for reference, Garland, as you guys can see here, it says Scottish, Irish, and English, suppose. It says the first family to use the name Garland lived among the Pictish people of ancient Scotland, all right? These people were described as being very swarthy, colored people in anthropological books of Britain and Scotland. So Garland is from the Pictish, it's an ancient family. So that's the hijack if you think these are so-called white people that brought the name. So when I search for anybody named Morris Garland, I'm not really getting anything. It's literally like they're just holding it back. And then to say that, you know, he comes from slaves, that's all conjecture. Show me the proof. Who are his parents? Who are his grandparents? You know, and so on, so on. It's conjecture to say any of these people are all slaves or coming from Africa. On the Katie Morris side, his wife, all right, since we're already up here, these are her siblings right here. I was able to find, and I did find her parents, which is William and Morris and Leata Ridley, okay? William Morris is Tupac's second great-grandfather. Here he is at 12 years old. Listing him as a farm laborer, right? Birth date 1858. That was before slavery ended. But there's nothing here indicating that this person was born a slave or anything like that, or that his parents were slaves. So this would be like an occupational census where they list the occupation of the person. Even if it's a baby or a child, they still put farm labor or living at home, you know. So these type of census don't really help you out with relationship, but you can kind of tell, right? So you see somebody who's the male, the head of the house, 43. Then you see a female, 44. And then you see everybody else, younger ages. So this is obviously the children, most likely. So this is a possible way, even if the parents are not coming out where you're stuck on somebody. I mean, just logically, this would be his parents right here. So Nathan Morris and Clarissa Morris, as it says here. So we're gonna go up the Morris line real quick. And this is his dad, Nathan, and his siblings right here, Zacharias, Frank, Cyrus, Solomon. 1870 census, Nathan Morris, Camp Hope, Jones, Georgia. That's the same people in Jones, Georgia. This is his dad right here. Again, being listed as so-called black. I also found an 1860 U.S. federal census. It says slave schedule. Now look what it says here, household members. Nathan Morris, huh? Jones, Georgia. Yeah, that's him. So again, Nathan Morris, residence plate, Jones, Georgia. That's him. 32, yep. That's around the age he was. This is him. Let's go into the record. Let me show you guys something. So-called black man, right? Says names of slave owners, right? What do you have here? Nathan Morris. Nathan Morris. We're talking about one of Tupac's third great-grandfathers was a so-called slave owner. But you got to dodge the hijack many times, because a lot of times this is just family and people he has working under him as indentured servants. Again, Tupac's third great-grandfather, so-called black slave owner in 1860. So through most other family trees that had Nathan, they're listing, you know, Vinnie and Albert as the parents, Albert Morris and Vinnie Morris. And a lot of people put, as you guys can see, Albert, black slave, Georgia Morris. That's not his name, right? So you don't put that in the name. And, you know, there's nothing indicating, I'm going to show you guys that these people were slaves. Again, especially, I'm showing you that their son was being called a so-called slave owner in 1860. All right? So Albert Morris and Lizzie, Vinnie, again, Lizzie, I put on my tree Elizabeth, because Lizzie is usually Elizabeth. You also get Beth, Betsy, Eliza. So those usually are all Elizabeth, same person. Again, we know Nathan is so-called black. We're going to go up to Albert Morris, and that's the, as far as I got on the Morris line, they're saying Albert Morris, 1790. And remember, even other families are listing that he's so-called black because they put black slave. Let's go into Albert Morris, history here. And we don't have many sources. I found this one. A U.S. federal census mortality schedule, Albert Morris, says here race black, right? Georgia. He died of meningitis in 1870. He was born in 1790. I didn't find anything indicating that he was a slave or, anything like that. So somebody put that he was born in Creeklands, Georgia. And I tried looking for a town name that I didn't really find that. So they probably literally mean Creeklands, like Indian Creeklands, like maybe coming out of a reservation. So I always try to look for more. I always hit search on the person, see what else pops up. And, I don't see anything about any slave or anybody owning anybody. And so again, it's conjecture to say any of these people were slaves from Africa. Even if they might have been indentured servants, and that's where the whole story comes away, that they might have been servants under somebody. That's not slavery how they told us. It's totally different. And they also might be under their own parents or uncles or family members that they're indentured to, or as some other people called their indenture an apprenticeship. So again, the Boone family has 1790 black slave. When I go into their profiles, as you guys can see, it says here U.S. federal slave schedule. It says here Taylor Morris. Who is Taylor Morris? That has nothing to do with Albert Morris. Who's Taylor Morris? Right? Taylor Morris, he's a slave owner. That's probably his dad. Who is Taylor Morris, who's 70 years old here? So is Albert in here supposedly? And so we just saw Nathan Morris, who's his son, was also being called a slave owner. So it's conjecture and a lot of opinions to say, oh, these are all slave masters. That's the white man right there. And that's where we got our name. I didn't see Albert in here anywhere. That's just Taylor Morris. There is no names listed in these slave schedules, guys. You guys got to understand that. They only have the slave owners listed. They never put people's names. So it's all conjecture to say, oh, Albert is in here somewhere. All right, which one? And prove that to me. And then prove that's not his dad. Another reason why I do these genealogical videos, so you guys can understand. When you really do genealogy, you ain't finding all that stuff. So I don't really know. So this tree right here by Eric Boone, all respect to him, but you shouldn't put black slave. Black is a crayon color, and that's not his name. You're not ever going to get good hints if the algorithms and the software assumes this is a name, because that's what it's going to do. This is the name part. You don't put things like that there. Either way, nothing pops up. I tried searching for the Morris family history in Georgia. Nothing's coming up. I wanted to show you Morris. They're saying it's English, Irish, and Welsh. But mainly they're saying this old Welsh surname comes from the Latin personal name, Mauritius, which means dark. Okay, it means dark. In Britain, Maurice was the learned form of the name, while Maurice was the common form. The surname Morris was likely also assumed as a surname after being a nickname for a dark or swarthy person. All right? So are you going to say these are slave master names? That these were white, so-called white people that came and enslaved your ancestors and gave you the name Morris? No. They were dark. The people who brought this name are being called that because they are of dark or swarthy complexion. Okay? All right, so that's how far we got on the Morris side. His wife, Lizzie Vinnie Morris, don't really have her maiden name. When I did hit search, I did find Lizzie Vina or Vinnie. That is what they were calling her. And I found there's in this Chocolate Friedman role. That might be her. So I'm still digging on that. So we have Lizzie Vinnie. That's what everybody was calling her. I want to show you in the different family trees. See, Vinnie Morris, Lizzie Vinnie, Lizzie Morris, Lizzie. It says Black Slave Virginia Morris. All right. So this is when you go into these people's trees, you'll see that they don't have no sources for any of this stuff. Listen them as slaves. For example, she has 1880 census when she's 96. And this is in 1880. Slavery's over. I don't see anywhere that says she's a slave, and she has no other sources. So I don't know. So again, very possible that this is her, Lizzie Vinnie. All right, Lizzie Vina. I thought it was very similar. So I attached it and I left it there. I'm going to dig on that even more, see what I can find. So we went all the way up on this side to Tupac's fourth great grandparents, all right, on the Morris line. Nathan Moore's wife, Clarissa, I wasn't able to get her maiden name or anything like that. So I don't know. It's harder to find when you don't have specific stuff. And again, this is the time frame where they actually stop you. They don't want you to go past 1840s, 1830s. You know, that's when they literally, most of the lines stop. When you do get through this barrier that they have here for black folks, literally, because I know when it's white folks, it goes right through most of the time. You know, because they want you to assume these are all African slaves. You know, you're supposed to be enslaved in this time, so you're not supposed to be finding all these free people. But look where we're finding. Where are the slaves? That Nathan was the actual slave owner, and I bet you the people under him, a lot of them were family that were working under his farm. So his son again was William Morris. That was Kate Morris, which was Tupac's great grandparents. That's how we got there. Don't forget Lethea Ridley on the Ridley side. She was also a Morris. Now I'm going to show you something very interesting here that I was able to put together. All right, it's going to get confusing, but this is the kind of stuff you find in genealogy sometimes. And we're talking about second, third, fourth cousins sometimes getting married. And this is the case right here. I'm going to show you what I mean. So Lita Ridley, she got the Ridley from her mom. All right, Cornelia Ridley. Her dad is actually George T. Morris. Who's George T. Morris, right? Remember, she married a Morris. Really, let me show you how he's related to him. So remember Nathan Morris, right? The so-called slave owner. He has a brother. His brother's called Eldridge Morris, which is right here, married to Gracie Hall. Eldridge Morris had a son named George T. Morris. Okay, 1849. So it all makes sense because if you look at the time frames, these people are a lot older. Remember, these people had a lot of kids. So some of their kids are like 10, 15 years older than the other kids. All right? So Eldridge Morris, born 1819, the son of Albert Morris, born 1790, about, right? We have an about date. We don't have the exact date. Could be a lot older. Had a brother, right? His brother's Nathan Morris, who had a son named William Morris, right? William Morris married his cousin's daughter. All right? Again, yeah, George T. Morris, you open it right here. It goes right back into it. So that's his second cousin. And trust me, I verified it. I was like, no, I might be making a mistake. Maybe somebody's guessing. But no, that's his second cousin. I was able to verify through the records. All right. And she even named one of their kids George Morris, you know, after her dad, George Morris. Now, Cornelia Ridley's parents, the mom, right? Because we already got the Morris side. Her dad is William Bill Riley and Martha Finney, again in 1880. Many trees also have the same thing. Cornelia Ridley, Bill Ridley, and Martha Ridley as the parents. Her last name is actually Finney. Martha Finney, that's her maiden name, her mom's name. So again, going up the Ridley line, all right, we have William Bill Ridley and Martha Finney. I wasn't able to get past them. Again, this is that barrier. You see the time frame 1850, 1820s. You know, once you break this barrier, it gets very historic. You literally open Pandora's box. You guys see that everything changes. All their false narratives start getting exposed. And Bill Ridley, or William, he was coming out of Putnam County, Georgia. All right, 1870, listed as so-called black, as you guys can see. 1850, Georgia. All right, this is when slavery is supposed to be, you know, it's not in here indicating that he was born a slave. You know, I don't, you know, that's conjecture to add all that stuff here, guys. So his wife, Martha Finney, coming out of Georgia as well, listed as so-called black in 1870. And again, just to overall general information here, says Ridley, origin English. It says the origins of the Ridley name lie with England's ancient, again, key word there, Anglo-Saxon culture. It comes from when the family lived in the region of Ridley in the counties of Northumberland, Cheshire, and Kent. A topographic surname which was given to a person who resided near physical features such as a hill, stream, church, or type of tree. Ancient Anglo-Saxon. Now his wife Finney, all right, Finney's surname says here Irish-Scottish. The name Finney originally appeared in Gaelic as O Fiannaid. This name, which was O Fiannaid, in its earlier form refers to a soldier. All right, ancient Old Gaelic. Now I did find a Benjamin Finney II coming out of North Carolina and passing away in Jones, Georgia, as you guys can see here. Jones, Georgia. I even found that he had a daughter named Martha. Not sure if these are the same people or the same family, but they ended up in the same place. And we have Martha Finney, and it's around the same years, right? Again, she was born in 1825 in Jones County, Georgia. Finney. Most likely, it is her family. All right, so that's what I'm saying. Dodge the hijack with all the stories here that everybody came on slave ships. So again, we just went through all of Tupac's grandfather's genealogy, right? That was his parents' family. And now we're going to go through Tupac's grandmother on his dad's side, genealogy. And this was not easy as well. We do know that her dad, Elois, again, these are Tupac's grandparents, right? These are his grandparents. You see what they look like? We know her parents, Elois' parents, are Walter Clark Barnes and Carnell Williams. And we got a couple last names, Phoenix and Smith. I'm going to show you the records, all right? We're going to go up the Barnes side at first. We got Walter Clark Barnes. Now, when I got to Walter Barnes and Carnell Williams, I hit a dead end right away in the 1900s. And I was like, wow, that's weird, right? So I searched, I tried to look for hints. I know he was coming out of Mariana, Jackson, Florida. The Barnes family is still here in Florida. And he eventually moved into the Bronx, New York. Now, the oldest record I was able to find, 1920. I'm going to show you guys. Very confusing record. I'm going to show you why. Now, it says that he is the brother of the head of house, right? The head of house is supposed to be 65 years old. He's 12 years old. You see everybody else's age? So that's her brother. Now, when you go into the record, I'm going to show you how bad they messed this record up, the census taker. So I do know that the head of household here is at least called Lorena, Lorene, Lorena, and it appears to be Cage, right? Then we have what it says here, grandson, Louis Barnes, and then it says wife, Lizzie Biff, or Elizabeth, right? And then sister, brother, sister, brother. So usually when they list the relationship, they're talking about to the head of household. But in this case, it's like they said she's the head of household, and then this is her grandson. This is her grandson, right? 19 years old. This is her grandson. And it seems he has a wife who's 15. It doesn't make sense to me. That might be her sister too, right? Or let's say, we can give him the benefit of the doubt. That might be his wife. The good thing is we're not concerned too much with Lizzie Biff, so it shouldn't mess us up too much whether that's his wife or sister. So Walter's listed as the brother. It can't be the brother of the 65-year-old, right? So they must be talking about brother of Louis Barnes. Louis Barnes, right? He's 12. Louis is 19. That seems like he could be his brother. So these are probably all family right here, right? So again, they're not listing parents here for Walter. They're just listing. When I first looked into the census, I was like, no, that has to be his grandma too. If these are his brothers, right? And that's the grandson, Louis Barnes, and this is his wife, and that's his brothers and sisters, then that must be his grandma too, Lorraine Page. Lorraine. So I had a lead there. 1930, 10 years later, he's already 23 years old. He's already with Carnell. She's 22, and they have kids already. Ulysses, Catherine, Eloise is a baby. Eloise is Tupac's grandmother. So I know Walter Barnes was in the Army. He was buried in a veterans cemetery. And then I found this World War II draft card as well. He's 33 here. Again, birthplace Mariana. Same birthday. I knew that was him. And what I found here, look, complexion light brown. He's not dark, he's light brown. Just like his daughter Eloise, right? Eloise is very light skinned. And then it says here, next of kin, Lurana. You see that? Lurana. And now they have Louis instead of Page. So I do know that from the 1920 census, he had a sister, right? Right here, Clara May or Clara May. Clara or Clara May. When I went into her ancestral tree, so for Clara Barnes, there was some different trees that actually had the mother listed as Clara Ming Williams. All right, and right here says father Walter Barnes and Clara Ming. So I was like, Again, there's no records for this, and I'm actually waiting for some replies from these families that created these trees to verify, how do they know and how can they verify this stuff. But it made sense that her mom was be called Clara, her name is Clara, and that Barnes, Walter, her brother's name Walter. So Walter Barnes Sr., right? I did find a census here. Walter Barnes, right? 28, born in 71, from Mariana, Jackson, Florida, same place. But in this case, he was married to an Anna Barnes. He might have never been married to Clara Ming. They could have had a child, outside of marriage. But it seems that there is a Walter Barnes from around the same time period that would be, his dad, Walter Clark Barnes' dad. I wasn't able to find records linking them, but there was other family trees again that had Walter Barnes, the father of Walter Clark. As you guys can see here, Walter Clark, and spouse Clara Ming. And it had his mother as Lurana Blackshear. Okay, there goes Lurana. So my theory in the beginning that was his grandma was correct. That was his grandma through his dad's side. Lurana Blackshear, that's her name. Lurana Blackshear, that's what comes up here. Now, where does the Page come from? The Lewis, and another one that popped up, Smith, I don't know. But again, these people, another tree right here, the Travers Greenport family has Lorena Page. But yes, it seems in the records that his grandma is Lurana and the grandfather Jordan Barnes, okay, because that's who Lurana was with. Now, instead of Lurana in this now in the 1900 census where Walter is 28 years old, I'm talking about Walter Sr., right? There is a Rena here, Barnes, Lorena, right? Lorena Barnes. And that's most likely her right there. That's why I was very kind of sure that, that was, at least the grandma was right. When you go into Lurana, I got all kinds of forms for her name. I did see her name come up as Blackshear, Roach, and Page. It says here Luena. They spelled it wrong as Lorena. When you go into it, Mariana Jackson. It says here 14 years old, Blackshear. I believe this is her. Still trying to verify again with the other family members. And here she died, Lurana Page. And this record right here, Mariana Jackson, so she might have married somebody at the end named Page. When we go into the spouse, Jordan Barnes, I did find this record here, Jordan Barnes from Wilson, North Carolina, so-called black. So I'm still waiting on replies from the Barnes family, and I'm still looking for Barnes somewhere, but I did notice in this image they have for Jordan Barnes here from another family tree. As you guys can see, they have undocumented Blackshear, Eliza Long for Lorena Blackshear's parents. These people are all in Mariana, Florida. As you guys can see here, Lorena Blackshear from Jackson County, Florida, and married Jordan Barnes. So somebody knows, so I'm waiting on a reply from these people, see if they can help me out. I wasn't able to go past that. Again, we're hitting 1850 and we're not finding any slaves here. Just dead ends really. So to add anything else would be conjecture. Now, going with what they have here of Lorena being a Blackshear, that would make her parents Horace, which we saw in that census she was in, very young Horace Blackshear from Georgia, who moved to Mariana Jackson. So they were coming out of Georgia, the Blackshears. And Eliza Long, that's her maiden name, also coming out of Georgia. I wasn't able to go ahead and find more on them. I got stuck right there. And I tried, guys. Trust me, I looked for a lot of things. It's unfortunate. This happens a lot in most trees around this time period. If you can get past this, then you're blessed. That's awesome. As you guys can see, around the same period, it starts becoming a trend. And again, they don't want you to open Pandora's box. That's why. Now, Blackshear says here, the history of Blackshear family goes back to the ancient Anglo-Saxon culture of Britain. Oh, again, some more ancient Anglo-Saxons, huh? For those of you who know who the ancient Anglo-Saxons are, you already know. It says it is derived from the family living in the village of Blackhall in Devon, or one of numerous other minor locations of the same name. The place name is derived from Blackhall, which indicated a manor which was dark in color or in a dark area. Okay. The surname Long says here it's English, French, Irish, Scottish. It says the ancient name Long is a Norman name that would have been developed in England after the Norman conquest of England. Okay? So I'm not saying that all these people are just Europeans. What I'm trying to tell you is the history of the name that's being carried by these people who are also colored folks. And it's conjecture to say that they got that from a so-called white man or from rape from a slave master. These are your people as well. They came here mixed with the American Indians, you know? And I'm showing you Tupac's genealogy, and it's conjecture to say any of these people are slaves and all that. Now, if it's Indians that are getting baptized with these names, now that's a whole different story, and we got to be able to prove that as well, you know? But most of the time, it is Indians carrying these names because they married into the families. Now, going with Walter Barnes' wife as Clara Ming, this was very interesting. Not too easy to verify, but I did find Clara Ming, as you guys can see here, in Jackson, Florida. It says here, raised so-called black. Father's name, James Ming, and mother's name, Emily Ming. Okay, as you guys can see here, this is a census from 1880. Jackson, Florida, same place. 1900, she's already Clara Barnes, married to Will Barnes. So we most likely are talking about the same person here. So going into her dad, James or Jan Ming, from Mariana, Jackson County, Florida. I'm telling you, the same people here. This would be Tupac's third great grandfather. Okay, I'm still trying to verify all this information, guys, with the family members, waiting on some replies and still doing my research outside of here. Trust me, this took me a long time to verify, so I'm just showing you what I got here. Again, James Ming, 55 years old here, so-called black. And here's Clara Ming, 3 years old again. Here he is as Yang Ming. And you know, this is a Florida state census. Now, I'm gonna be honest, if anybody see this, they would assume this might be an Asian person, right? Yang Ming, that sounds like an Asian name to me, but that's just abbreviation for James. And I want to show you guys that when we talk about Ming, we ain't talking about an Asian name. We're talking about English. The surname Ming was first found in Bedfordshire, where the first record of the family was the singular Mina. Listed here in the Assis Rolls of 1202, over 100 years later. Gostilinus mine was found. This surname is derived from the name of an ancestor, the son of Min. There is some evidence in favor of an old person named Min. Okay, so Ming is actually from England, just like we found out before. Real quick, I want to remind everybody, Qin, the ancient roots of the Qin family are in the Anglo-Saxon culture. All right? The name Qin comes from when the family lived near a crevice, chasm, or canyon. A ravine, dweller by the ravine, Qin family, Qin. If you put it with one N, then you get China, but you still get England, and you're still going to get that the roots of Qin, which you find in China, is Anglo-Saxon. The Qin family in China is actually Anglo-Saxon. Okay? So again, I was stopped in my tracks with James Jan Ming, all right, in Mariana, Jackson, Florida. I always try to see when the first person who brought the surname over to these states like Florida, I would put Min family history, Florida, to see what I get. And, you know, sometimes I find things, but it's very hard a lot of the time. But again, I want to emphasize this. Adding conjecture saying these are all slaves, and you haven't shown me one proof, and I'm showing you all the different lines here, guys. It should be more clear. If all these slave stories that they told us was really real, we should be finding so many stories, so many examples of the purchase of the people and when the transaction happened, when they were sold and who bought them, who they bought them from, what was their original name, when did they take on the slave master's name, and things like that, you know? So same thing with Emmeline Min. I wasn't able to go past her. I don't even know her maiden name. She's coming out of South Carolina, though. So in case these are all surnames you guys carry, these might be some leads for you. Going back down, Walter Clark Barnes, Tupac's great-grandfather, his wife, or the person that he had Eloise with, was Carnell Ishmael Phoenix Williams. Now, I got a lot of possible parents, and I couldn't tell which one it was, so I didn't put them here, guys. But I was able to find out her full name, when she was born and everything. Right here in 1930, says she's from South Carolina. Her parents are from South Carolina. In her gravesite, we got her middle name, which helped me clear a lot of the things because I kept getting a Carnell Irma hair. And a lot of people were mistaking her for her. You got to be careful. A lot of other families put the wrong things, and then it comes up as a hint on your tree. And if you don't verify and you just add it, you're adding wrong information. And I did that. I had to delete. Guys, this is like, I had to take out a lot of people and put and fix it a lot of times. And now what I'm showing you today in the video is things I was able to verify, things I'm more sure of. People who are really Tupac's ancestors, okay? So this is a picture of Carnell Phoenix, which I believe is actually Phoenix. Why am I so confused? Because, like, for example, right here, she's Carnell Williams. This is her from Blackville, South Carolina. That's actually where she was born. She passed away in Santa Maria, California. You guys can go ahead and verify that. Right here, she's listed as Carnell Smith. This is her, Ulysses Grant Barnes. That's Eloise's son, okay? Carnell Williams here, again, passing away Santa Barbara. Here she's Carnell I. Phoenix, right? She's marrying Walter C. Barnes, child Ulysses Barnes, so Phoenix, right? So she might be surnamed Phoenix is what I'm showing you guys here. That might be possibly her maiden name. I wasn't, again, able to find anything. I did get a couple hints, but what I did want to show you guys is that I wasn't able to connect Carnell Phoenix to these people because I didn't see her pop up anywhere. But I did find that there was a Phoenix family. These were black folks, as you guys can see, in Barnwell County, South Carolina. And there's a whole bunch of them. So you got Virginia Phoenix, that was his sister. You got Alice Gertrude Phoenix. Now, again, all these people are in the same time range. That could be Carnell's parents or aunts, cousins, brothers. You got Christopher Phoenix here. All right, these are all in Barnwell. So most likely this is her family. We got Angus June Phoenix Sr. or Jr. All right, so Phoenix is a family. It is a surname, and it is in Barnwell County, South Carolina, and it is black folks. And when we're talking about a Carnell Phoenix in Blackville, Barnwell, South Carolina, yes, very possible that that is her family there. She was born in 1906. Those people from the 1800s. So I wasn't able to find a link. She could be a possible granddaughter of one of these people, daughter, something like that. And most likely, if you are of this family, something to look into, all right? And again, I hope all this is helping, not just for entertainment and you want to see Tupac's family, but I hope it's helping you. If you have these names in your family and these regions, you guys already see, yeah, you might be related to Pac. So guys, that was all of Tupac's dad's side right there, literally, right? And again, with his grandparents, this is Tupac's grandparents. Again, I was the one that colorized these pictures. You know, this was in black and white. As you guys can see, these are Tupac's grandparents, okay? His paternal grandparents. Take a good look at that, all right? Are you gonna say these people are mixed with Mongols or something like that or anything like that, or with white, so-called white people? No, that's conjecture. When it comes to Barnes, I did find, you know, I was trying to look for them, but I couldn't find it, but I did find connections of the Barnes family with Native American ancestors, as it says here. A lot of people claiming that. Some of the notes here says my great-great-great-great-grandfather Barnes was supposedly 3/4 Indian. You can see Native American features in my great-grandmother and her siblings, all right? So Barnes, since her line of Barnes is from East Tennessee and West North Carolina around Cherokee Reservation, we're sure this is Cherokee blood, all right? So, you know, a lot of Barnes being listed as possible ancestors being Native American. So again, this is her. She's a Barnes and he's Garland. You see, we didn't find no slaves.
What do you attribute to being able to survive that kind of tumultuous upbringing? Well, because my mother was a Panther, I had like strong values, about if this wasn't just me, it was a bigger picture. It was my people that's really just getting dogged out. It wasn't just my family, it was all of us. So I wasn't really tripping off that. I knew we was poor, but the poverty helped me to relate to everybody's struggle. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you're from, moving to Baltimore and Oakland and Marin and New York, and you know, all that helped me just make it so I can relate to everybody's struggle. You know what I'm saying? All but I was starting shock brought me in, and it made it it just flowed together. You be the rebel and underground, and you talk about that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was. And then you got into making music. Yeah. So how did you make the transition? I mean, what was one of the first things that happened that same song? What was that? Same song. All around the world. Same song. I was starving, living in Marin. Shock was like, come on the road. You could be my roadie, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be glamorous, but you'll be working, you'll be meeting people. I said, cool. He got off the road, he said, well, I'm gonna pay you this, and I'm gonna let you do same song. I did same song. Ever since then, it's been on.
It's too much money here. I mean, nobody should be hitting lotto for 36 million and we got people starving in the streets. That is not idealistic. That's just real. That is just stupid. There's no way Michael Jackson should have, or whoever Jackson, should have $1 million, $1 billion, and then there's people starving. There's no way. There's no way that these people should own planes and their people don't have houses, apartments, shacks, drawers, pants.
Say people would say, well, they earned it. Now you go out and you're earned it.
If they earned it, then I think that that's good, and I think that they deserve it. But even if you earned it, you still owe. Because look at me, I don't have that mega money, but I feel guilty walking by somebody. I got to give them some mail. And if I know I got $3,000 in my pocket, I feel like it's wrong to give that person a quarter or a dollar. It's wrong. Only you know what you got in your pocket. And that's wrong. No matter what they do, if they take it and drink it, they take it and drink it. But I mean, you got. You understand? And we all know how hard it is, and it's not about if you good or you bad. So since it's not about if you good or you bad, we know that because he don't mean he was bad. Or don't mean he's a criminal, or don't mean he's crazy, or a drug addict, or none of that. It just means he don't got. And ain't it bad that you got 30? I mean, can you imagine somebody having $32 million? $32 million. And this person has nothing? And you can sleep? You can still go to the movies about, and then these are the type of people that get humanitarian awards. Millionaires. How can they be humanitarians? By the fact that they millionaires and there's so many poor people shows how unhumane they are. You know what I'm saying? And that bugs me. Not saying that when I'm never going to be rich, and you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it's a struggle, and I think everybody deserves. And I think there's a way to pay these people. I think there is a way. It just takes to be revolutionary. And it takes to do something out of the ordinary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that if we just said, okay, I got an idea. No more porno buildings. You know what I'm saying? Let's build houses. Or no more polo games. Let's build houses for poor people. You know what I'm saying? Or, look, okay, I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion. But can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. It don't. And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees, all the little trimmings. Everybody got gifts, and then somebody's starving. And they're having a white Christmas. They're having a great Christmas, eggnog and the whole nine. That's not fair to me.
All right, so again, we went over all of Tupac's dad's line, you know, his paternal ancestry. You guys saw that, you know, as far as I can go. If you guys know more, if you can go further, even better. Hope it helps out. But I want you to see that's his dad's whole family side right there. Where they from? All right, so again, we have Alice Faye Afeni Williams Shakur, right? Born in Lumberton, Robinson County, North Carolina. Passed away 2016 in California. Reading her obituary here, it says Afeni Shakur, 69, the former Black Panther who inspired the work of her son, rap icon Tupac Shakur, and fostered his legacy after he was slain in a 1996 drive-by shooting, died Monday at her home in Sausalito, California, of an apparent heart attack. Born Alice Faye Williams, Ms. Shakur changed her name when she became politically active in the 1960s and joined the Black Panther movement. By 1971, she was pregnant and behind bars accused of conspiring to bomb New York City landmarks. All right, so we know the story. This is her obituary right here. Alice Faye Williams. Her parents being Walter L. Williams Jr. and Rosalie McClellan. On her dad's side, Walter's coming out of Walstenburg Green, North Carolina. Born 1922, passed away 1989 in Wilson, North Carolina. So here's a census with Walter at 8 years old, listing his parents, also Walter, and Lena Bell Williams. That's his parents. Was also drafted to World War II, as you guys can see here. Listing the mom as Lena B. Williams. All right, so that's where we get the mom to verify. And in his marriage record, again, this is the parents of Afeni, the grandfather of Tupac. And this is his marriage certificate. As you guys can see, listing the father as Walter Williams Sr. and Lena B. Powell. And then we got his grandma, Rosabelle McLean, her parents, Penny McClellan, I think I was saying it wrong, McClellan, and Rosalie Powell, actually Powers. They put the same thing here, but it's actually Rosalie Powers. The other grandma is Lena B. Powell. So don't get confused again. So I was able to verify all of Tupac's great-grandparents, as you guys can see here through this marriage record. So again, these are Afeni's grandparents, all right? All four of them, and Tupac's great-grandparents. Moving on to the Williams side, we got Walter Larry Williams Sr. In 1900, he's 6 years old here, as you guys can see, and he's living in Spatesbridge Green, North Carolina. Listing the father as Henry Williams and mother as Sarah Williams. And then you see all the other siblings. And Walter, again, being 6 years old here. 1910, same place, Spade Brings. He's 15 now. And again, we got Sarah. And Henry's no longer here, the dad. And then we have a marriage record here for him and his wife. I know it looks like a lot of scribble, guys, but here is listing his dad, Henry Williams, and Sarah Williams. And then it's listing his wife, Lena B. Powell, and her parents. We go to the digitized versions. You got G.W. Powell, which is George Washington Powell, and it says Farry, but it's actually Fanny Powell. They couldn't read the writing, as you guys saw. But again, I was able to verify another set of great-grandparents through this record. He was also drafted to World War I. His son was in World War II. So you see, this is like, something that happens a lot. If the father goes, most likely the son ends up going in these times. Again, we have Walter Williams, the child, Lena B. and Walter Williams as the parents. But continuing from Walter Larry Sr., we had Henry Williams and Sarah Williams. We continue with the Williams. And again, that's where I hit the dead end. Again, in the same time frame. So you guys can see around 1830s, 1820s, they start blocking you. Earliest record I have of Henry is 1870. As you guys can see, Spatesbridge Green, North Carolina. We are talking about Henry, the same one. Same time period, same age, same place. And you can see the kids here, same wife, Sarah Williams. 1880, same thing. He's 40 years old, in the same place, married to Sarah Williams. So again, if you're related to the Williams from Greene County, North Carolina, or in North Carolina, these might be, relatives of yours. You might be related to Tupac. I wasn't able to get farther. Again, once you get past this time frame, is when you open Pandora's box. And real quick, just for reference, again, we got the Williams history. It says here, the Welsh name Williams, all right, is Welsh, a surname derived from the personal name William, which is in turn derived from the old German names Wilhelm and Wilhelm. The Norman French version was Guillaume. Following the Norman conquest of 1066, William became the most popular personal name in Britain for a time, okay? Norman. German, Norman, really goes back to, see, Germany, Wales, Irish. His wife, Sarah Williams, I did find something listing her as Ward, possibly maiden name. And where did I get that? Is right here in this death certificate for one of their daughters. We have Sarah Ward, birthplace Greene, North Carolina, spouse Henry Williams, child Lula Williams, Sarah Ward. And again, I wasn't able to go past that. I didn't find anything. And again, for reference, we got Ward. The ancestors of the Ward family migrated to England following the Norman conquest of 1066. The surname Ward is for a guard, having derived from the Old English word ward, meaning guardian or watchman. All right, that's the history right there. Scottish, Irish, English. So that was as far as I got on the Williams side. Okay, let me go real quick to his wife. Lena Bell Powell, we got Walter Sr.'s wife, right? Lena Bell Powell. Her parents, George Washington Powell and Fanny, I believe, Sherrod. Okay, that was, I think, what I was able to find. I'm still trying to verify that with some of the family trees on this website. Hopefully they respond. We have George Washington Powell coming out of Nashville, North Carolina. North Carolina, all right? In 1880 census, he is 10 years old here, all right? Nash, listed as so-called black. And they list them alone. You see, they do this a lot back in these times where they don't try to add the parents, making it harder for you. But if you go into the census, I mean, it's obvious that, you know, one of these has to be the parents. You know, these are all kids. Just look at the ages and you're able to find the parents, right? And verify the siblings and all that. So in 1990, he's 33. He's already with Fanny, okay? That's 20 years later, right? In between, remember the 1890 census supposedly disappeared or got burned. Nobody has one. And then we got him in Nahuanta, Wayne, North Carolina. Later on, still with Fanny, all right? And all the kids. And you can see Lena right here. She's 8 years old. Again, we're just talking about Tupac's second great-grandfather on her mother's side. I was able to find his death certificate here, listing him in Wilson, North Carolina. As you guys can see, George Powell, colored, wife Fanny Powell. Nash County, it says his dad is Lawson Powell. You see that? Lawson Powell. Maiden name, Lonnie Taylor. Fonnie Taylor, the mom. Nash County as well. It says here that the informant is Robert Powell, so it must be one of the sons or grandchildren. Now, George Washington Powell and Fanny, they had a daughter also named Fanny. I was able to find her marriage record, listing the parents as you guys can see here on the right for Fanny Powell in Wayne County, born in Wayne County, George Powell and Fanny Sherrod. You see that last name? That's her maiden name, Sherrod. That's where I got the Sherrod from. Continuing up the Powell side, on her dad, this would be Tupac's third great-grandfather from Nash County, North Carolina. 1870 census listing him as 35 years old, so-called black, farm laborer, right? And it shows here Delancey, which is Lonnie, his wife. In 1880, we have him and Lonnie, his wife. All right, so Lawson Powell, who was born in 1832, passing away in 1922. He was 90 years old. And again, George Washington listed as the child. As you guys can see, this is the grave record. So I was able to verify up to him. So we know that he married Lonnie and she's a Taylor. We've seen that. So that's her maiden name. Her name is Delancey or Lonnie Taylor. That's what they called her. Now, I really didn't get anything showing me his parents, but I did get possible hints from other family trees as Alex or Alexander Powell. As you guys can see, other family members was listed as that as Alex John Powell. Alex Powell right here. Some people had John Powell, which I believe is Alex John Powell. Maybe it's the same person. Alex Powell. Now the Catherine Weiss Hunt, I haven't been able to verify. That happens a lot when you try to add other family trees because a lot of these trees are not verified. People are just adding things. So you got to be very careful when you're using other family trees as the source. Because a lot of the time, when you go into their person, you know, you ain't going to find sources. Now, they have somebody here from 1850, right, listed as Lawson Powell in North Carolina. Now, this most likely could be him. I want to show you something. You see how it says white? When you actually go into the census, under color, it's blank. It's actually blank. They do this a lot, guys. So you got to be careful assuming that these are pale-skinned people just because it says white on the digital part. When you go into the record, it's blank. It doesn't say anything. So it's conjecture to say all these people are white just because it's blank. And again, in this record is listed John Powell, which is probably Alex John or John Alexander Powell, right? It listed him as a shoemaker, not a slave owner or slave, and Catherine and the rest of the family here, Lawson included. Now, this is in Burke. This ain't in green anymore, so I'm not able to be sure. I was going to probably add this. I forgot probably to add the parents because I think that is him, most likely. So again, it says white. We don't know. I don't know if that's the same Lawson. It's a different county. But most likely it is him, guys. And it probably continues with Alex John Powell and Catherine Winehouse. As you guys can see here, they stopped right there at Alex Jean Paul from 1793. And Catherine Weishunt, 1792, also in North Carolina. They have no more sources for that. But most likely that is Lawson's parents, and that would make them Tupac's fourth great grandparents, Alexander Powell and Christine Weishunt. Now, Lawson Powell's wife, Delancey Lanny Taylor, she actually passed away with the surname Thomas. By the time she was older, she might have married somebody named Thomas, which it does list here, Peter Thomas. This is her death certificate, all right? Delani, same person. She died in Costalia, North Carolina at the age of 61. Farming, doesn't say nothing about slaves. Says that her people are from Nash County. Her dad is Barry Taylor, and her mom is Charity Taylor from Nash County, North Carolina. And here is her gravesite and everything, as you guys can see. So again, her parents, Barry Taylor and Charity Jelks, is what I believe I was able to find. Jelks and Sills, her mom. Still trying to verify that. And that was where I was able to get to. Barry Taylor again, Nash County, North Carolina. The Taylors are coming out of so far. On Charity Jelks' side, we have Nathaniel Jelks coming out of Nash County as well. And Venus Sills, okay? These are real people. I was able to find this, War of 1812, Nathaniel Jelks. So this is possibly Tupac's fifth great-grandfather participating in the War of 1812. And again, we get stopped right there. And again, I want to show you, where's all the slaves? Where's all the records saying all these people are slaves or from Africa, or that they were passed down European names by somebody? I want to see all that proof. Where is it so far? All right, so we go back down, all right, all the way back to George Washington Powell. Again, George Washington Powell, Tupac's second great grandfather. And remember, his wife was Fanny Sherrod. Remember, we found that, Sherrod, okay? 1870, she's 4 years old. They're saying that her dad is Jack Sherrod and Casey Sherrod. So I was able to verify that. They're coming again, North Carolina still. Here she's 12 years old, supposedly. They're, a little off, 2 years. Nahunta, Wayne, North Carolina is where they're living. And again, we have Jack Sherrod and Casey Sherrod. And again, we have Fanny Sherrod marrying George Powell, marriage in Wilson, North Carolina. So again, guys, they have a lot of records attached. I don't show you every record that I found. I just want to show you that these people can be verified as family members and the parents as well in different records. So we continue going up. It gets very interesting with her dad. I found this picture with him attached to her dad, Jack Sherrod, right? Now, automatically, what are you supposed to assume when you see a picture like this? Is that they want to assume that he was a slave or something just because he has his shirt off? I don't know. I think they were showing that he has something on his neck on this picture. And they even talk about it in the comments here. Does anyone know what happened to his neck? Just curious. And somebody said it appears to be a goiter, which is an abnormal enlargement of the thyroid gland and can occur for a number of different reasons, most common being iodine deficiency and diet, simply as iodine and table salt. All right. So, that's what they're saying is Jack Sherrod. Now, the person that uploaded this was George Fleming. Okay. This is George Fleming right here. I happened to send George Fleming a message. And I said to George, "Hello, George. Was wondering if you can help me confirm the picture of Jack Sherrod you uploaded. Is this 100% him? Is this a family pic? What sources did you use?" That's what I meant to say. Excuse the personal questions. Just want to be sure on my tree. Thanks. All right. So he hasn't answered. So you can actually do that, guys. You can actually send messages. And this is what I was saying. I'm waiting for replies on other people. All right. So now let's just go over Jack's records again. So 1870, he's 26. He's a mulatto. Now, if you look at that picture, would you say mulatto right away? Be honest. All right. Be honest. That's what he's being called here. Mulatto. And then again, 10 years later, 1880, he's black. All right. So he went from mulatto to black. I just want you guys to see that. All right. And this is him right here with all the kids, including Fanny, right? She's 12 years old here. Fanny Sherrod, his daughter. Now, finding his parents wasn't easy, guys. I'm going to show you why. It's very confusing right here because, so we have Jack Sherrod, right? And this is his death certificate right here. Got the age and everything. It's coming out of the same place, right? Nahwanta, Wayne, North Carolina. And it's listing his dad as Dennis Barnes. There goes Barnes again, North Carolina, and Tempe or Temperance Barnes, North Carolina. And it says that the above is true to the best of my knowledge. Arthur Sherrod. So it seems like he should know, right? One thing about death certificates, obituaries, and even some of the grave sites is that a lot of the information is taken by an informant. So these people, they trust the informant to know everything 100% for sure. They don't really verify. I've found many instances where the death certificate, the graveside, or an obituary is completely wrong or just missing or confused about certain things. So you got to be careful with the death stuff. All right. Now, we have to try to explain, how did he go from Barnes to Sherrod, right? How did that happen? Here's a record with Jack and Casey getting married. And her last name, very unusual one I never really ran into, Exum, which is popping up as her maiden name, okay? EXUM. It seems Jack was in the colored troops. He was in the Civil War. I'm gonna show you guys what I found. All right, Jack Sherwood right here, U.S. colored troops, part of the African American Civil War Memorial. Dodge the hijack. U.S. colored troops, huh? Here he is, Veterans Administration, 1900 census. He's 56, you know, this is after the Civil War and everything. And here you can see that one of the sons is Exum Sherrod. So Exum is definitely the name of the family, the maiden name. Now I know that the death certificate put Dennis Barnes as his dad, and Temperance became actually Davis. That's her maiden name, Temperance Davis. Now I want to show you what I found here for Temperance. Even though I left him here, Dennis Barnes, it seems she was married to a Dennis Barnes, okay? Here, Temperance is 45. This is an 1870, listed as black. She's with different people, and you can see she's a Davis. This is the same county, Nahunta, Wayne, North Carolina, same town, same place. Now, I found this, all right? I found Temperance Barnes, spouse Redmond Sherrod, okay? This came up as the hints, and this is not the only one that came up. Then I had this one, North Carolina U.S. Marriage Index, Temperance Barnes, Redmond, Sherrod, Edgecombe, North Carolina. We're still in North Carolina. And again, Temperance Barnes in Edgecombe, North Carolina, Redmond, Sherrod. It seems that she might have married Barnes first, and then she got with Redmond Sherrod after. So I left Dennis Barnes on the tree as well, just in case that's his dad, even though I got stuck there, because it could be that that's his real dad and he took his stepdad's name, Sherrod, or that his real dad is Redmond Sherrod, which nobody's talking about. But when I found Temperance marrying a Redmond Sherrod, that kind of like, made all sense to me, okay, where he's getting Sherrod from. Now, when it comes to Redmond Sherrod, just real quick, I want to show you guys what I found. I found a will, his dad's will. As you guys can see, Redmond Sherrod is the son of Jordan Sherrod. I'm going to show you guys. And this is the will for Jordan Sherrod, as you guys can see here. In the name of God, amen. I, Jordan Sherrod of the county of Nash. All right, Nash, we're in the same place, Nash County, North Carolina. This has to be the same family. Now, what I want to show you is that Redmond's in here. He's going to tell you. And on the next page, it says, I give and bequeath to my son, Redmond Sherrod, all the balance of my land lying on the north side, Jacob's son, to him and his lawful heirs forever. Forever. So what happened? What happened if this was supposed to be his land and his heirs' land forever, as it says in this will? Did somebody sell it, or did something dirty happen? What's going on? But I just wanted to show you that this is real people, real records, and we're talking about early 1800s here. Now I put about 1770 because I don't have its age, because I did find a 1790 census with Jordan Sherrod here in Nash County, as you guys can see. Free white person. Remember, free white includes Moors includes Iberians, includes North Africans, includes a lot of Black Europeans, Turks, all that. So we're talking about somebody who's receiving a pension of a Revolutionary War, right? Possibly his dad or himself. And the grandma, Dancy Sherrod, and again, don't have her maiden name. That's all we have. For Tempers Davis, I wasn't able to find anything as well. She's in North Carolina as well. So if you know these names, you know there's a lot of people out there that already know what these names are connected to, like what tribes and what families and all that. So, you know, you guys can go from there. I'm just showing you what I was able to find. For Jack Sherrod, again, we had Catherine Casey Exum, right? Exum, which also came out as Hall. Later found out that her dad is Lewis Exum and Cassie Hall. That's where she's getting the Hall from. Lewis Exum, Wayne, North Carolina. In 1900, he's 86. As you guys can see, Lewis Exum. Again, real people, guys. These are real people. By then, he's widowed. As you guys can see, colored Black. We ain't talking about white folks. And no records indicating that all these people were enslaved, were slaves, or Africans at all. All right, so all that conjecture stuff, as you guys can see, you can throw it out in the garbage. All right, so going back all the way down, you know, we're going to go back down to George Powell and Fanny Sherrod. And again, we got here through all the way from Lena Bell Powell, guys. Again, Lena Bell Powell, that was Tupac's great grandmother on Afeni Shakur side, right? That was her grandmother. That was her people on that side. That was her grandma's people. Jack Sherrod, the Williams, the Powells, Powers, and all that, okay? Now, we're gonna go up her mother's line, Rosalie McClellan, right? McClellan, history says here Scottish-Irish. In ancient Scotland, the first people to use the name McClellan were part of a tribe known as the Strathclyde Britons, all right? Tribal people. The name is derived from the son of servant of Phelon. Phelon is derived from the word Fail, which means wolf, wolfman. In Gaelic, the name was spelled MacGillifloin. All right, you would never know that. You know, that goes into McClellan, meaning wolf, a tribe, right? The wolf tribe, the wolf clan. What we talking about here, huh? Either way, we're talking about ancient tribal people. So again, we was already able to verify her parents. We got her uncles and aunts, a lot of them. So again, we had Kenneth K. McClellan. All right, Kenneth K. McClellan coming out of South Carolina. He moved to Lumberton, Robinson, North Carolina, and that's where Afeni was born. That's how they got there. But in 1910, he's around 12 or 11, right? Kenneth McClellan. His dad is Peter. His dad is actually Peter McClellan, and his mom is Carolyn Ford. All right, Peter or Pedro McClellan. I did see a record that said Pedro. Here is his death certificate for Kinney McClellan. All right, colored. Rosalie McLean, right? Rosalie is his wife. And then we got Peter McClellan. They don't know where he's from, it says here, and they didn't know the mom. So that's what I'm telling you. Sometimes the informant don't know anything, and it's the son, and it's the grandchildren. They don't even know their grandparents, you know? But at least we got the names. We got Peter McClellan and Caroline Ford. Eventually, I was able to find out. Kenny or Kenneth was in World War II. He was drafted, as you guys can see. And again, if you remember, he was listed here as the father of the bride when she married Walter Williams Jr., Afeni's dad. Again, moving up the McClellan side, I'm going to go up to Peter McClellan, or Pedro, in 1880, listed as so-called Black, around 35. He's in Robinson, North Carolina, Thompson's Robinson, North Carolina. Here he has a spouse named Amy, not Caroline. In 1910, he's 60 years old. He's widowed by then. And you can see Kenneth is 12 years old here. Here we have one of the other kids listing the parents as Peter McClellan and Caroline Ford. All right, so that's a brother of Kenneth. And here we have his death certificate, Peter McClellan, right? Robinson County. It says so-called Negro, all right? Widower, farming. And it says here that his dad is William McClellan, right? William, W-M, and it says don't know for the mom. All right. So we was able to get to his dad, William McClellan. All right. I wasn't able to find no other record other than the death certificate listing him. Okay, no parents. But you guys can see we went all the way to North Carolina, the McClellan side, all around 820, again, around the same time period where they stop us, right? Each line, right? Same thing. It's a pattern, guys. All right. Caroline Ford, same thing. I wasn't able to find anything, but it says that she's coming out of Hammer, South Carolina, and then moved into Robinson Ford. All right. Caroline Ford, again, this would be Tupac's second great grandmother. So you guys see already how many grandparents, great grandparents Tupac had. This is on your tree too. You can't just go off one grandma. Going back down to Kenneth, we go to Rosalie Powers. All right. She is a Powers. Her dad is Robert Powers, coming out of North Carolina here in 1870, as you guys can see, so-called black. Holesville, Robinson, North Carolina. He's 9 years old. Listing his parents as Jeff Powers and Lucy Powers. All right, and this is him, 1900. You can see Rosa is 3 years old here, his daughter. Here he is listed with Millie, his wife, Wooten. All right, so that would be, yeah, Tupac grandmother. Her last name, Wooten, Millie Wooten. Here is another one, a death certificate of their child, Franklin Powers. Again, Millie is right here. These would be his siblings again. Moving up the Powers side, we have Jeffrey Powers coming out of Columbus, North Carolina, 1826. And guess what, guys? I got stopped again. You see, it's the same time period. What, you think that's a coincidence? You think it's because records don't exist? That's not true. I've passed this point many times. I bet you if I keep working on the street for the next couple of months, I'll be able to pass some of these points and to start showing real historic stuff, things they don't want you to find, guys. In 1870, Jeffrey Powers, he's listed as being around 44. Holesville, Robinson, North Carolina is where he's living. All right, he's a turpentine laborer. Ain't no slave. Lucy Powers here. All right, so-called black. Here's their marriage record, him and Lucy, Jeffrey Powers. In 1866, this marriage record. He was a U.S. Civil War soldier. And we were able to get Sarah, Sally Powers, and that's from different family trees. I actually wasn't able to verify this part, guys, yet. I did find some records with her. Of course, these are 1840 and stuff. These don't list, but they're calling her white in these times. And 1850, it says white. When you go into it again, it's blank. As you guys can see, it's blank. Where it says color, it's actually blank. But again, all these people out of North Carolina is what I'm seeing. Going back down to Robert Powers, his wife, Millie Wooten. All right, so first of all, before we continue, I just want to show you Powers. Powers English and Irish, as the surname Powers came from a nickname for a poor man or a pauper. This name implies a voluntary vow of poverty rather than involuntary destitution. The surname Powers is derived from the Old French word pauvre, which comes from the Latin word pauper, which means poor. The Gaelic form of the surname is de paor, although the proper prefix would be le. And you know what? I was surprised to find this out. I didn't know, Powers. I'm thinking power. I'm not thinking poor, like I'm thinking strong, powerful. Never imagined that, but you guys can see the history of that. So we're about to go into the Wooten surname. Just you guys, before we do that, Wooten, it says here English, the Anglo-Saxon name. Wooten comes from when the family resided in the county of Kent. Their name, however, is derived from the Old English words wudu, meaning wood, and tun, meaning enclosure or settlement, and indicates that the original bearer of the name lived in a town by a wood. Besides parishes in many counties, there are innumerable manors, hamlets, and single houses in England, so-called. Right, so Anglo-Saxon word, Wooten. So Millie Wooten, 5 years old, right? And around 1880, Thompson, Robinson, North Carolina, so-called black, right? Wooten, don't think these are so-called white names. Derry Wooten is her dad, and Rose Wooten, her mom. And these are her siblings. Here she is at 25 already with Robert, not Powell, but Powers. They messed up when they were trying to interpret the writing. Here is a Social Security application claims listed in Robert Powers, the spouse, Millie Ann Wooten, and James Robert Powers. Right, so her name is Wooten. I was able to verify that. Moving up to her dad, Derry Wooten from Columbus County, North Carolina, from 1853. In 1880, again, he's 27, listed as the dad, again, of Millie, so-called Black, Robinson County, North Carolina. I have a will and probate for him here. Here's another one, better readable version of it. You guys can take a look here. Derry Wooten. So again, I don't see any indications of any of these people being so-called slaves. They got wills, they got land, they're free. You know, I don't see, you know, of course, when it comes to census from the 1860, 1850, they start calling these people white. They don't even put the thing there, complexion at all, leaving it blank or not listing that as an option. You know, they just want you to assume these are free whites. When it comes to his wife, Rosanna, you know, I don't even know her maiden name, but she is listed there with him in Columbus County, being born supposedly, and passing away in Clarkton, Robinson County, North Carolina. So, I mean, her people were there for a while. Afeni's people, you know, you can see all the way in almost in the 1700s, they were still in Robinson County. All right. So again, that was Rosalie Powers' people. All right, and that's what I was able to get. I wasn't able to get any farther back than third great grandparents on this side. Here again, we're hitting the wall in these places. And I did look and try to figure out who were the first people that brought these names to these states. If you guys do that, if you guys can figure all that out, you'll be able to find the relatives. You can do that for your own tree, wherever you're stuck. Because basically, I believe we're done with the genealogy. Let me just go back so you guys can see. You know, going back to Wooten side, again back to Rosalie Powers. Rosalie Powers again, Tupac's great grandparents or Afeni's maternal grandparents. All right. So again, this was Afeni's tree. So we did both sides as far as we can, guys. And you know what? Actually was able to go pretty far. You know, a lot of the times I don't get so many hints and a lot of lines, and I'm going to show you what I mean. When it comes to one of Afeni's husband, not husband, but partners. Who do we have? Mumba Shakur or Anthony Costin. That's his real name, Anthony Costin, right? I, you know, messed around and since I was getting hints, I decided to work on history a little bit too. I didn't get far at all. I want to show you guys. This is as far as I got. So it's not like I worked on Tupac's tree and I just wanted to get that tree done and everything. I tried to get as far as I can on Lumumba's tree and Anthony's tree, and I couldn't get past his grandparents. But I just wanted to show you guys that, yeah, his name is Anthony Costin. That's his real name. Costin, real quick, as you guys can see, Dutch, French, Dutch, English, French, Dutch, French, Huguenot, Dutch, Black Dutch, Sephardic Jew, Huguenots. What are we talking about here? Costin name has descended through the generations from the ancient Anglo-Saxon culture. Again, another Anglo-Saxon name. So, you know, Anthony Mumba Shakur Costin, born in Jersey and passed away in Louisiana in 85, okay? His mom and dad, James Costin or Haj Saladim Shakur. And his mom, Mariam or Mary Shakur Costin. I didn't get her maiden name. Here we have his dad, James F. Costin, coming out of Jersey. And his dad's name is Frank Costin. His mom's name is Gertrude Costin. Gertrude Medley is her maiden name. Okay. Frank Costin, born in Virginia, coming out of Virginia. All right. So that's where the Costin line I was able to get as far. But I wanted you guys to see Lumumba's genealogy as well. I wasn't able to get anything for his mom. I don't know her maiden name, so that's probably the reason. This might not even be her real name. Mariam. She might have changed that from something else as well. But literally, I got stopped right here. I didn't get anything else, guys, for Mr. Costin, aka Lumumba. All right. And one more thing before we leave today, guys. I did want to show you Kidada Jones' tree. Okay. And Kidada was his girlfriend again. Her dad is the famous music producer, songwriter, Quincy Delight Jones Jr. He was born in Chicago and died in Seattle. Her mom, Margaret Peggy Ann Lipton, famous actress and everything. So she comes from famous people. Kidada Jones, right? Quincy Delight Jones' dad had the same name. I'm sure you guys. Quincy Delight Jones Sr. seems to have played professional baseball. This is a picture I found of him. I colorized it. All right, so you guys can see Quincy Jones' dad, Quincy Delight Jones Sr. Okay. In 1900, he's listed as 7 years old. Listed the son of Susanna Jones. Okay. I forgot to show you a picture of Quincy Jones Jr. When he was younger. Here he is in Brazil. He actually traveled a lot. You're going to see that his family is actually from the islands. Let me show you. That would be on his mom's side, especially. So Quincy Delight Jones Sr., the baseball player, he's coming out of Charleston, South Carolina, or South Carolina. I got different places, but it was definitely South Carolina. His wife is Elvira Latia Ricketts. That's Quincy Jones' mom. His dad, Caesar James Jones, coming out of Alabama. That's what I was able to find here. Caesar Jones. Here he is at the age of 15. It says father, Radford Jones. He's 60. Not sure if that's his dad, but that's what it appears. Here he is at 6 years old, living with his dad and mom. His dad pretty older. His parents are a lot older. His Radford and Leah, 1870 and 1880 census listing that. And Radford Jones, that's for as far as I got, coming out of South Carolina. I wasn't able to get farther back than that. Quincy Jones' great-grandfather. Now going back down to the baseball player, his wife, as you guys can see, Elvira Ricketts, she was born in Panama. Okay, that's Quincy Jones' mom. She was born in Panama, right? But her people are from Jamaica. Her dad, Richard E. Ricketts, and Julia B. Hilton, they're Jamaican, okay? As you guys can see here, in 1930 census listing her born in Panama, and father's birthplace and mother's birthplace in Jamaica. Going up to Richard E. Ricketts, her dad, being born in Kingston, Jamaica, or coming out of Kingston, Jamaica. All right, this is a merchant seaman schedule from 1930, where he was there working as a cook. Birthplace, Jamaica, West Indies. And he was back and forth going into Louisiana, and they listed him as white here, guys. This is him, okay? They listed him as white here. He's not white, he's Jamaican. He's not white at all, pale skin. Not sure what they meant there, but I wanted you guys to see that, okay? There he is again, Negro, Jamaica, New Orleans, same person. All right, father's birthplace, Jamaica, mother's birthplace, Jamaica. Cook, industry, at sea. So he must have worked in a cruise ship or something, on a ship, cargo ship, whatever that's going back and forth, transportation ship, passenger ship, as a cook. Here he is with his wife and Elvira in a U.S. Social Security application. So that is her parents. All right, you guys can see. And he was drafted to World War II. So his birthplace, Kingston, British West India. And he was living in New York at this time, all over the place, this guy. And we had his mom as Julia J. Ricketts. This is what I was able to find. Passenger, says here, Pan American Airways in 1955. Going into New York from Kingston. Imagine flying on a plane in the 50s, guys. And here she is, 72, Negro. It says she was born in New Orleans, but she was living there. She was actually from Jamaica. They didn't know. Real person here. Going back down to Richard and his wife, Julia Hilton. Julia B. Hilton. And we got her birthplace in Lucia, Hanover, Jamaica. Her parents, Henry Hilton and Mary Chisholm. Okay, this is her right here. Here she is, Julia Hilton, birthplace Jamaica, arriving in New York. That's Ellis Island, guys. Yep, New York, colored. Father, Henry Hilton, and she knew somebody named Richard Sears there and that she was meeting. Now, what I want to show you guys is that in Family Search, those records that I was just showing you, you could actually see the original record in Family Search. And this is her right here, receipt for this in Family Search. I'm going to show you guys this one right here, because on Ancestry, they don't show you the actual record. They just show you the digital index. So let me go to there. So this is Henry Solomon, right? Marrying Mary Irvin Chisholm. That's her, Julia's parents. And is listed the father of Joseph. right? And another dad. So listen, both dads here. So this is a record from Jamaica. Again, this is familysearch.org. If you're from Jamaica, familysearch.org is pretty good, actually. It has a lot of the records here from Jamaica, and you could actually go into these little slips, like as you see here. This is a marriage register, and you can see Henry Solomon Hilton, says bachelor, who's marrying Mary Irvin Chisholm. And the funny thing is that they only list the dad in these slips. As you guys can see, father John Hilton and the other father John Bauer Chisholm. They're from Jamaica. They don't have the mom. They have the moms in another slip. But I just want to show you guys that these are real. You can actually find these things if you're from Jamaica on familysearch.org. Of course, you're not going to find every single one, but there is a lot there. But I just want to show you guys that. This is Quincy Jones' genealogy, as much as I can do. I couldn't really do much more than that. I actually did better with Pac's people. Now, Caesar Jones was married to Susan Burgess, guys. I want to show you this. Susan Burgess, I was able to find, I think I found her because it's the same town. It says here, Susanna Burgess, Williamsburg, South Carolina. She's 8 years old. It says listed as black. It says her dad, Hope Burgess and Anna Burgess, right? Here she is at 17. It says Sumter, Williamsburg, all right? Same place, Hope Burgess, Amy Burgess, or Annie is really what they meant, Anna or Annie. I mean, Williamsburg, he has an agricultural thing here, and it don't look like he's a slave. The hints kept popping up for him a lot, like his parents being listed as William Burgess and Patsy Burgess. We're talking about 1700s here, all right? We're talking about, we broke through the barrier on this one, but we got stuck with William Burgess, all right? Look at this, U.S. Army, South Carolina. Now on her mom's side, right, Margaret Heggie Ann Lipton, right? She was born in New York. She is of Ashkenazi Khazar lineage, right? Lipton. Harold Arn Lipton is her dad. Rita Hetty Rosenberg. It says Ireland for her, and it says New York for him. I want to show you his dad. It says Max Lipton or Lipschitz. All right, you see that? Right into Russia. All right, not going far back at all in the States, coming right into Ellis Island from Russia on that side. And the records are there, guys. I can show you, but I don't, we don't need to. His wife, Alice Goldfarb, coming from Belarus, Brest, Belarus, right? These people are coming right into Ellis Island. Okay, that's on the Lipton side. On the Rosenberg side, we got him, Rosenberg, coming from Russia. You see that? And he died in Atlantic City. And the wife, Jenny Benson, from England, died in Atlantic City. The parents of Max Lipton, there was actually pictures of them. So we got Harold Lipschitz, right, from Russia. And he died in Russia, so he never came over here. But they have pictures of these people, and that's his picture right here. All right. Then we got Rebecca Leah Pitowski that you guys can see. All right. So I just thought something to show because, I want to show that a lot of so-called white people go right into Europe. They don't have a lot of history here in the States. Not all of them, so when people are saying, go back to Africa and all this other stuff, they don't realize that most black folks have more history in the States than they do. And this is from experience. This is from doing so many trees in genealogy that I can verify that. All right. So I just wanted to show you guys. Yeah, these are, Ashkenazi, Khazar, East Europeans. They came, they are New York, right? They become actors and they got money and all this other stuff. Yeah. But that was the genealogy of his girlfriend. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bonus right there. Hope you guys enjoyed overall the presentation, a different look at Pac, a lot of things you wouldn't even thought of. Again, when I look at this and I see like his grandparents, I'm just amazed. I would never picture his grandparents looking like that. A lot of history with Pac and his ancestry. So hopefully after today, we remember Pac not only for all the negative stuff they try to portray him as, but the positive stuff, his struggles, his whole history, his family's history. Pac was a real dude in many ways, and I want to make him more realer historically, right? His genealogy. And I'm literally going to ask you guys to be honest. How many slaves did we find? I'm going to tell you straight up, we didn't really find any. How many slaves? You saw how far we went on a lot of lines. How many slaves did we find that we can be sure, oh yeah, he was a slave for sure? All right, something to think about. Remember and honor what Tupac stood for, the struggles he went through. Forget about the media's negative image they try to portray of him. He was on a mission. He was who he was because of his environment, and you can't blame him for that. The way he acted or talked, that was just him. He was being real. Like, we shouldn't have to censor ourselves or change the way we are. That's what America turns a lot of people into, right? That's what they want. So he lived it. He made it. He merchandised it. He made his money off it, but he also had a message with it. He made sure to leave it behind, and he knew that when he was gone, years later, people would still be listening to the message in his music, and he understood that, and he left his message, and he did change and influence a lot of people, including myself. You know, when it comes to fighting for other people, caring about humanity, revolutionary ideas, revolutionary actions, fighting for your freedom, standing up for justice. That's what Pac was, you know. And hope you guys see that he had a real history and a real genealogy and a real family. Hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Much love and respect. Pura vida. Hawa.